Hey, there we go. All right. Welcome. You guys are watching Controlled Substance, my new show, the one and only Orphan. Here to spit some news and dump my brain out onto you guys. We got Iron Alien, we got Steph. What's up, guys? Is Young gonna come through? If not, it's all good. But welcome. All right. How are you guys? I'm doing good with the Spindrift. It's like got dark in here all of a sudden. The light was good earlier. All right, guys. Well, I'm excited for this one. I've been wanting to do something like this for a long time. What it is basically a news story. It's split into 4 sections, themed by pills. So we got a blue pill, a red pill, a black pill, and a white pill. A story accompanying each. And I'm just going to give you my take. We're going to run through them, and should be a grand old time. Pardon me if I'm stuttering a little bit. I'm kind of nervous. I haven't streamed solo in like a long time. It's been like, what, 6 months? Something like that. It's different streaming with someone else because you can just ask them a question. Like it flows a little bit more, you know? So I'll do my best to keep things popping. And if we end up going an hour, great. If we end up going shorter or longer, then that's cool too. So should be all good. All right, let me turn down this music for a sec and then we can hop right into it. Yeah, Iron, am I live on everything? If so, then we're all good. Guys, check this out. I got my censored overlay for when we start talking about, you know. I got my kill overlay. We got stretchy cam. All sorts of zooms, and you know we've got the sound effects too.
We're about to be in the best timeline. Mark my words.
Ruin it with my bad attitude.
I'm so depressed I don't know what I'm doing.
Wrong. You can't keep
What's up,
getting
Young?
away with it.
Young can't keep getting away with it, dude. That's what I'm telling myself every time I watch him stream. See what I did there? All right, guys, let's hop into it. First story, we're onto the blue pill. Here we go. All right, first story of the day. I'm going to turn on a light on my camera. Woo! There we go. All right, guys. All right, so I don't know if any of you guys caught the Trump town hall, but I didn't watch the entire thing. I saw some clips, and it was pretty hilarious. So, first things first, I found this article. Apparently, Anderson Cooper just like had a meltdown about it because CNN hosted the town hall, and knowing CNN, I'm sure that they thought it was going to be such an own, right? Because they hate Trump. So let's watch this real quick.
Many of you have expressed deep anger and disappointment. Many of you are upset that someone who attempted to destroy our democracy was invited to sit on a stage in front of a crowd of Republican voters to answer questions and predictably continued to spew lie after lie after lie. And I get it. It was disturbing. It was disturbing to see and hear that person refer to a black law enforcement officer as a thug.
It was either disturbing or it was fucking based. I think we're going to find out here in a second.
An adjective he used many times to describe black men, and called Caitlin Collins, the moderator, nasty, which is what he calls any woman who stands up to him. It was disturbing to hear him speak so highly of QAnon conspirators and insurrectionists who assaulted police officers in our democracy on January 6th. And it was awful to hear him spread ridiculous lies about the election. And it was certainly disturbing to hear that audience, young and old, our fellow citizens, people who love their kids and go to church, laugh and applaud his lies and his continued defamation of a woman.
Dude, I hate this shit. All these good people who go to church.
Laugh and applaud his lies.
All these idiots that applaud his lies. It's like, I fucking hate CNN. Okay, so this is why I hate CNN so much, because they do this like, woe is me, song and dance, like, oh, the poor people, but they treat the people like the biggest fucking idiots I've ever seen. Do you remember in COVID when they had the death counter? Like, they had the death counter up there in like the top. It took up like a third of the screen the entire time. And it was just like 1 billion people dead. Like, they treat people like idiots more than anyone else. And then when it's the other way around, right? And I know that's a boomer take, right? But they're the real idiots. But, you know.
And his continued defamation of a woman who, according to a jury of his peers, he sexually abused and defamed. As good a job as Galen Collins did trying to fact-check him, it is impossible to fact-check fully because he lies so shamelessly.
He's a fucking monster, dude.
Now, many of you think CNN shouldn't have given him any platform to speak.
How are we supposed to control this monster?
Wrong.
Literally everything he says is a lie. So how are we supposed to control that man?
And I understand the anger about that, giving him the audience, the time, I get that. But this is what I also get. The man you were so disturbed to see and hear from last night, that man is the front runner for the Republican nomination for president. And according to polling, no other Republican is even close. That man you were so upset to hear from last night, he may be president of the United States in less than 2 years.
He probably won't be, because I haven't heard Trump say a single word about, besides that it wasn't fair that he lost the election. Like, he hasn't proposed anything. Like, the election's still going to be the same. We saw that with the last primary too, right? It's like the same shit happened that happened in 2020. Mysterious batches of votes, mail-in, which is crazy. Like, we shouldn't even have mail-in.
And that audience that upset you, that's a sampling of about half the country. They are your family members, your neighbors, and they are voting. And many said they're voting for him.
We'll get into this later.
Now,
I don't know how
maybe
they did
you
the
haven't been
sampling.
paying attention to him since he left office. Maybe you've been enjoying not hearing from him, thinking it can't happen again. Some investigation is going to stop him. Well, it hasn't so far. So if last night showed anything, it showed it can happen again. It is happening again.
Oh.
He hasn't changed, and he is running hard.
So Anderson Cooper's kind of white-pilled here, man. Anderson Cooper's kind of on our side, I think. It's like, this man's a monster. He says all these base things. No one can stop him, and it's happening again. So I'm kind of with Anderson Cooper here.
You have every right to be outraged today and angry and never watch this network again. But do you think staying in your silo and only listening to people you agree with is going to make that person go away?
Yes. All right. So that's Anderson Cooper. The part at the end there I think is particularly funny. He's like, you'd be justified in never wanting to tune in to CNN again. And liberals specifically are really good at this, right? They make themselves into martyrs. And they make themselves into martyrs in a way to prove a point, right? And it's so fucking transparent. Like, oh, we would get it if you guys never watched this channel again. Meanwhile, it's CNN. Like, if they didn't get anyone to watch their channel ever again, billionaires would go out of business, and that's like a huge problem, right? So it's all fake, obviously. But so that seems pretty unhinged, right? Anderson Cooper saying, disgrace, it's happening again. Never watch CNN again. But CNN hosted this, right? And so I want to show you guys a few of the clips. This is just a raw cut. I didn't choose the cuts, obviously, but this is some of the content that happened.
Time here tonight. We got a great crowd here in New
Anderson
Hampshire,
Cooper's
a lot of
altruistic.
voters with a lot of questions about what your 2024 term would look like.
Pardon the January 6 rioters who were convicted of federal offenses.
I am inclined to pardon many of them. I can't say for every single one, because a couple of them probably they got out of control. But, you know, when you look at Antifa...
Okay, have we seen any of them get out of control, though? Because that's the thing, right? and I know he has to say this because he's like, he's running for president, right? He's got to be somewhat presidential, as much as Trump can. But was anyone out of hand? Because I haven't seen anyone out of hand. The most out of hand thing that I've seen was the mainstream media's footage of them getting beat back at the doors, right? And that wasn't even really that bad. It was just a bunch of people trying to push through a small door. When you got a giant crowd of people and a normal door, like, that's just going to happen. So I don't even think that's that bad. So rest assured, if something worse did happen, you would hear about it all the time. So I think they all should be pardoned. And anyone who was there watching that day, like, I remember watching a live stream of it. And it was so tame. it wasn't even that big a deal. Everyone was just hanging out, and yeah, it was a protest. Yeah, people were mad because it was pretty obvious that some sort of fuckery happened. But like, we saw the footage that got released. Like, people just walked in, and like, some people like messed with some stuff, but literally nothing happened. Not enough to happen. Not enough happened to go to jail for 3 years and get thrown in solitary. Like, that's fucking crazy. So
done to Portland, and if you look at Antifa, look at what they've done to Minneapolis and so many other places. Look at what they did to Seattle and BLM. Many people were killed. These people, I'm not trying to justify anything, but you have two standards of justice. You cannot get a fair trial. You cannot. Just like in New York City, you can't get a fair trial either.
I don't think I'll ever go to New York again.
January 6th had to do with the fact that
I'm afraid of getting
hundreds of thousands of people, and you don't see the pictures very often. A lot of the people here probably were there. January 6th, it was the largest crowd I've ever spoken to. That was prior to the walk down to the Capitol building. I don't think, and I've spoken to hundreds of thousands of people. I've never spoken to a crowd as large as this. And that was because they thought the election was rigged. And they were there proud. They were there with love in their heart. That was an unbelievable, and it was a beautiful day.
Manhattan jury found that you sexually abused the writer E. Jean Carroll and defamed her. You've denied this.
That face, though, that says it all. Oh, man, chat's not popping up on stream. Fuck, I gotta fix that. I wonder what's going on there. I'll have to fix that. But, yeah, Young says New York has Terminators, don't go. Yeah, man, I mean, it seems like Chinese police state over there, where you literally just you walk on the street, and then there's all these cameras that look like bricks, and they're scanning your face, like Minority Report. Takes a picture in enhance, and then the overlay comes up, and it's like terrorist detected. Because they think of us as terrorists now, which is wild. Biden coined that term, like MAGA Republicans. Oh, so you mean over half the country are terrorists? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, it's just Twitch chat. All right, anyways.
What do you say to voters who say it disqualifies you from being president?
Well, there aren't too many of them because my poll numbers just came out and they went up. They said he didn't rape her. And I didn't do anything else either. You know what? Because I have no idea who to...
Republicans love rape. And that's just a fact. I think that's been proven enough times, right? I think we can just all agree on that.
But Mr. President, can I ask you, given your recounting your version...
I don't know who, and I tell you this.
But Mr. President,
are you ready?
Shut up, bitch.
My children, which I'd never do.
Hey,
I have no idea.
Bitch, shut up. Ask the president a question, then you sit there and listen to the answer.
I have no idea who this woman... This is a fake story, made up story. We left Washington. We had the boxes lined up on the sidewalk outside for everybody. People are taking pictures of them. Everybody knew we were taking those boxes. And the GSA, the government service, the GSA was the one taking them. They brought them down to Mar-a-Lago. We were negotiating with NARA. All of a sudden, they raid our house. When Biden has his documents, he won't give back the 1,850 boxes, and you're going to find some real gems in there.
But it was
So
Biden
you
who
can't have
alerted
all
them that
these
he had
different
the
sets of-
documents.
all
The
these
National
different
Archives
sets
reached
of-
out to you to get your documents back. Why did you not turn them over when you got a subpoena
because we were
asking for you to turn
negotiating
them
with
over?
them. We were negotiating with them.
Okay, you hear her talking over him. I know you need to do that to a certain extent, but also shut the fuck up.
If I'm president, I will have that war
Okay, watch this.
Tonight,
more
CNN
of the
gave
same kind of
former
stuff, right?
President Donald Trump
But this
a
is like
live
so this the reason this is in the blue pill section is like look at the normie local news take on this because it's hilarious.
town hall forum, and he once again claimed the election was
Also, dude, look how much of a Chad he is.
Donald Trump a live town
points
hall
at her and
forum,
is like,
and
this-
he once
look at
again
this
claimed
bitch.
the election
Get-
was rigged.
Why are you even up
and
here?
defended the throngs of Trump supporters who attacked the Capitol a few weeks later. The former president.
Okay, even if you don't like his policies or whatever, like how do you not like him? He's so fucking cool.
Also claims this week's verdict that found him liable for sexual abuse was rigged. He also called the overturning of Roe v. Wade a great victory.
He said a lot of things
True.
tonight. KTLA's Samantha Cortese live in the news center with a closer look tonight. Sam.
Sharon Micah tonight for more than an hour. Former president and again candidate Trump spoke about key issues surrounding his campaign and personal life, refusing to back down on some
When is the last time you guys watched local news? I haven't watched local news since I think I was in high school. I wonder what their demographics are.
controversial topics. Here are just a few of the key points from a very fiery town hall.
In his first appearance on CNN since the 2016 election, former President Trump answered questions from CNN journalist Caitlin Collins in a New Hampshire town hall. Right off the top, Collins asked if he admits to losing the 2020 election.
Unless you're a very stupid person, you see what happens.
The former president did not concede defeat.
It was a rigged election, and it's a shame that we had to go through it. It's very bad for our country. All over the world, they looked at it.
He also said he would accept.
Do you guys know what other countries think about the election, if it was stolen or not? I'm curious. I haven't heard that angle before. What up, Merc? Oh, yeah, I'm just on my, sorry, just on this cam. I got to get used to this setup. Sorry, Merc. Thanks for pointing that out.
The 2024 election results if it's, quote, an honest election. On Foreign Affairs, Trump was asked who he wants to win the war between Russia and Ukraine.
I want everybody to stop dying. They're dying. Russians and Ukrainians. I want them to stop dying.
See, this is what's so different about Trump, right? This is what people love about Trump. Because he doesn't stick to a party line on these things, and almost everyone in America doesn't want a fucking war. Can you guys see it now? I switched it. Oh, okay, cool. All right, yeah, I was just on my face, so sorry about that. I bet if you polled Americans, I bet 90% would not be for war, and the other 10% are all like 9/11 boomers, neocons that want America to take over the entire world and like shove democracy down everyone's throat. And honestly, like that kind of thinking is what started the war in the first place. Like, there's no reason that they should be having a war because Russia got provoked. It'd be like Mexico saying we're gonna like set up a nuclear base in Cuba and just, you just have to deal with it. Even though we told you for the last 100 years that, that we wouldn't. Not 100, but you know what I mean. Anyways.
And I'll have that done in 24 hours. I'll have it done.
Trump said Europe should be footing more of the bill, and
so
it takes
sick.
a strong president.
As soon as we stop giving Ukraine money, because we're like solely funding that war, then the war stops, and people stop dying. Like, I don't get it, man. Yeah, we need rich politicians, kids at the front of the line, dude. Yup.
Get that to happen. He also said the war would have never happened had he won in 2020.
For duty, sir.
Regarding abortion,
Very complex issue for the country. You have people on both sides of an issue. But we are now in a very strong position, pro-life people are in a strong position to make a deal that's going to be good and going to be satisfactory for them.
He did not say whether he would sign a federal abortion ban, but called pro-choice advocates extremists and said,
if Trump did sign a federal abortion ban, that would be one of the biggest conservative wins in 40 years. You know how huge that would be if it was actually like a federal ban?
overturning Roe v. Wade was a great victory. On the economy, Trump took a question from the audience.
What is the first thing you would do to help bring down the cost to make things more affordable?
Drill, baby, drill. We're energy independent, soon to be energy dominant. This place was rocking, and then we were given a gift from China.
Another mention of China when President Trump was asked about classified documents and the raid on his estate at Mar-a-Lago.
You have the Presidential Records Act. I was there, and I took what I took, and it gets declassified. Biden, on the other hand, he has 1,850 boxes. He had boxes sent to Chinatown.
Collins pushed back on this issue.
Biden
it led to
stole more
this now
boxes.
trending moment.
Can I talk?
Yeah, what's
You
the
mind?
answer?
Do you mind?
I would like for you to answer the question.
Okay, it's very simple to answer.
That's why I asked it.
It's very simple to. You're a nasty person, I'll tell you.
And the crowd
Simple to
roars,
answer.
That's why I
dude.
asked it.
It's very simple to. You're a nasty person, I'll tell you.
That shit's so funny. Everyone wants that to happen. How many times have you watched an interview, a debate, and someone just keeps, or Neil deGrasse Tyson on Joe Rogan, someone keeps interrupting the other person, and you just want them to say, shut the fuck up and let me finish my point. Everyone wants that to happen, and Trump's the only person that does that. Everyone else goes full Jeb Bush mode, and like, oh, are you done at cutting me off? I'm sorry. So, anyways, awesome. That's the blue pill. What do you guys think? Everyone around here. Blue pill's basically just the Trump town hall. We'll get back to this in the white pill section because there's some interesting kind of turns here, but what it shows basically is that Trump is still Trump. It sucks, right? Because like he's basically infiltrated. But everyone is infiltrated who goes into politics, right? Because you just have to be. The system's busted. And if the system's busted, then you need to work within a busted system, or you need to break the system, right? So that's why they go so hard at Trump, is because he has the potential. He has enough outside money. He has enough outside influence, connections. Unfortunately, a lot of them are kind of now with the established GOP and their, Zionist Israeli ties, but he still has a better chance than anyone who's ever run at, actually draining the swamp. Iron Alien, the pills mean what's a blue pill? Have you ever heard of a blue pill before? It's like the Matrix, right? So blue and red pill is like stay asleep, stay a normie, believe what everyone else tells you, or red pill is wake up, realize our entire government is fake and gay. Yeah, we do need the old geezer. We only need the old geezer back, though, if he's willing to do what he got elected for. I mean, like, people wanted him to drain the swamp. They wanted him to stop wars. We wanted to get out of Afghanistan, right? We wanted to build a wall because immigration is fucking out of control. And it seemed like he tried to do some of those things, but, sometimes that's how the game goes, right? But I hope if he does, well, and then you got to talk about mail-in ballots and the whole thing. But anyways, that's another stream. That's a whole hour and a half on its own, right? So that is the blue pill. This is what normies are talking about right now. People in the back, People know. If you don't know what a blue pill is, this isn't the stream for you, man. I'm sorry. You can still watch it. I'll tell you that much. You can still watch it, but it's also not for you. So get on Wikipedia, type in blue pill, see what's going on, and you got yourself covered. Basically, it's all this bot shit, right? All right, black pill. Black pill time. Moving on. I need like a sound for each of these different pills, or like a transition graphic. All right, guys, let's talk about our beloved Twitter, yeah? So you guys know Elon Musk took over. He bought everything, doing his thing, restored a lot of people. Didn't restore everyone, but a lot of people got their accounts back. Advertisers left in droves. The ADL petitioned for all of their connections to drop it. This was around the same time that Ye was doing his thing. So, I mean, basically the only people that aren't allowed back on are like Andrew Anglin and Nick Fuentes and Ye. Right? Everyone else is like cool. So it's basically, you can, there's probably like some sort of reasonable oversight that they have planted in, since they can't completely control Musk. But I read the other day that, and this is not on the screen, but I read the other day that Twitter with advertisers was making like, oh, I'm gonna get the numbers wrong. It's like 40 billion or something, and without the advertisers, just with Twitter Blue, it was like 6 million or something. It was some crazy number like that. Maybe it was 40 million, then 6 million. That makes more sense. Thanks, Young. Having a fun time, man. All right, so let's dive into this. So that's kind of the backstory on Twitter, but you guys all know, you're all on Twitter. They canceled Tucker, now they're coming for us. Cancel Fox Nation. Oh, that's just a fucking... Okay. So basically, the headline here is Vivek strikes back. Elon suspends right-wing account for a harmless joke about the new Twitter CEO. Everyone is talking about Twitter being like free speech, right? It's not fully there, and there's some weird things that go on, particularly with Musk. Remember when he just like banned Alex Jones for no reason because he like made fun of his wife or something? There was some sort of like infighting. There was some infighting, and then he just banned Alex Jones, and like he didn't do anything wrong, right? So that type of stuff is still weird. But Elon is stepping down as CEO, so now he's what is her last name? Linda something. Linda Yaccarino. And basically she's like in with the World Economic Forum, feeling apprehensive about fairness on the platform. Like, it doesn't seem great. Elon still owns it, right? Elon still owns it, but I don't get why, if your like goal is to make it a free speech platform. Let's think this one out. Free speech platform. You buy Twitter for like 45 billion or whatever. You want it to be a free speech platform. You realize that you can't run it without advertisers, even if you wanted to. And then all these weird concessions start happening. Magically, sponsors are back. All of the sponsors that had left are now back. And there was no announcement about that. Everyone knew when the sponsors left. Nobody heard when the sponsors came back. And then now, free speech Elon Musk, who just spent $45 billion on Twitter, is appointing a World Economic Forum woman to be the chair, the CEO. That's weird timing. I'll just say that there's some weird timing going on with how things are playing out, and it just makes you a little suspicious about like what kind of concessions are being made behind closed doors, right? And you're never gonna hear about it because they don't want you privy to what's going on. So you just have to look at the shadows, and this is one of them that's a little bit wonky. So I'm hoping that everyone can keep their Twitter, right? I mean, I wish literally everyone was allowed on Twitter. I'm a free speech absolutist through and through. Like, I think everyone should be able to say whatever they want. Because unlike CNN, I don't think people are stupid. I think people are smart. You know, a lot of people are stupid actually, but like people for the most part can kind of suss out what's going on if they have information, right? Twitter coin sends us to the bull Valhalla, dude. That'd be sick. Yeah, what's the next shit coin? We just need to make the United States run on Pepe, a dark Pepe or something. So Elon says there's no shadow bans happening, right? Okay. We'll see. And then this dude, Elon says, as soon as Linda is ready to go, we will do a space where you can ask anything. And Top Lobster, the absolute hero, said, we'd prefer you launch Linda into space. Completely innocuous, pretty funny joke. And he gets banned. It gets banned immediately. And I never believe if people get banned because you can Photoshop it, but I went and looked up his Top Lobster, and check this out. Right here, Top Lobster. Same thing here, and it's banned. So you just got nuked, dude. We'd prefer you launch Linda into space. Gets launched into space. Fuck. Some sweet irony. So, I don't know. I mean, Elon's kind of a rogue. I mean, I think it's funny. I don't think he should get banned, but also it's pretty funny that he did. So, maybe he'll get reinstated in like a week or two. Prefer you get launched into space. Yeet. All right. One more black pill. And this kind of has to do with Twitter as well. Check out this clip.
Was fired by Fox News. He announced he's taking his program to Twitter.
Tucker got fired, right? And he said he's going to do a show on Twitter. So first off, there's implications because Twitter doesn't currently have live streaming. Yeah. Hi, Norm. My wife says, my kid keeps looking at the TV and saying hi. So Twitter got fired from Fox. Says he's going to go exclusively to Twitter. Twitter doesn't have live streaming. Hopefully this will be a feature that's open to everyone, because especially if it's a free speech platform and it actually means that, this could be really, really good for any sort of dissident, right?
But a tweet by Twitter boss Elon Musk seems to be saying, not so fast. Amber Cogliano reports.
Hey, it's Tucker Carlson.
Tucker Carlson has come up with a brand new...
Fuck. I got the wrong clip. I want to watch his announcement, not Inside Edition. Dude, it's so hard to find things on YouTube these days. Or on Google at all. Like, you type something in, and it's just New York, Washington Post, Vox News. You can't even look at conspiracy theories on here anymore. Sad.
Hey, it's Tucker Carlson. You often hear people say the news is full of lies, but most of the time that's not exactly right. Much of what you see on television or read the New York Times is in fact true in the literal sense. It could pass one of the media's own fact checks. Lawyers would be willing to sign off on it. In fact, they may have. But that doesn't make it true. It's not true. At the most basic level, the news you consume is a lie of the stealthiest and most insidious kind.
Fuck.
Facts have been withheld.
Wait just a second. Hold up here just a second. You're telling me that it's all a lie? All right, man.
On purpose.
All right, we'll
with
see.
Proportion and perspective. You are being manipulated. How does that work? Let's see. If I tell you that a man has been unjustly arrested for armed robbery, that is not, strictly speaking, a lie. He may have been framed. At this point, there's been no trial, so no one can really say. But if I don't mention the fact that the same man has been arrested for the same crime 6 times before,
Going rogue.
am I really informing you? No, I'm not. I'm misleading you. And that's what the news media are doing.
Hey,
in every
don't
story
tell
that
me
matters,
what to
every
think
day
about
of
you
the
misleading
week,
me.
every week of the year. What's it like to work in a system like that? After more than 30 years in the middle of it, we could tell you stories. The best you can hope for in the news business at this point is the freedom to tell the fullest truth that you can. But there are always limits. And you know that if you bump up against those limits often enough, you will be fired for it. That's not a guess, it's guaranteed.
Okay, so this goes to why Tucker was fired, right? So he's insinuating that he was just such a truth teller. Tucker was so free speech that the powers who be at Fox couldn't have it anymore. I don't know if I buy that because he was, for one, he was on a primetime spot, right? He was the #1 news show on television, the #1 show on television, I'm pretty sure. And that's not, so there's 2 options. Like either he could be that in spite of his bosses not liking him and wanting him to stay under their thumb more, or what's more likely, I think, it's the opposite, right? I think you don't get to that position by accident. You don't get promoted to a primetime news spot if you are not willing to toe the line. So I don't know. I don't buy it, right? I don't buy that Tucker's just too true. He's just free man talking out here.
Every person who works in English language media understands that. The rule of what you can't say defines everything. It's filthy, really, and it's utterly corrupting. You can't have a free society if people aren't allowed to say what they think is true. Speech is the fundamental prerequisite for democracy. That's why it's enshrined in the first of our constitutional amendments. Amazingly, as of tonight, there aren't many platforms left that allow free speech. The last big one remaining in the world, the only one, is Twitter, where we are now. Twitter has long served as the place where our national conversation incubates and
Merck
develops.
gets it.
Twitter is
English language media.
not a partisan site. Everybody's allowed here, and we think that's a good thing. And yet, for the most part, the news that you see analyzed on Twitter comes from media organizations that are themselves thinly disguised propaganda outlets. You see it on cable news, you talk about it on Twitter. The result may feel like a debate, but actually the gatekeepers are still in charge. We think that's a bad system. We know exactly how it works,
that's bad.
and we're sick of it. Starting soon, we'll be bringing a new version of the...
Hey, everything is controlled, everything is fake, and that's bad. Thanks, Tuck. Thank you. That's not
show
a
we've
good
been doing
thing.
for the last 6.5 years to Twitter. We'll be bringing some other things too, which we'll tell you about. But for now, we're just grateful to be here. Free speech is the main right that you have. Without it, you have no others. See you soon.
All right, so that's the announcement. I think, here's my opinion on Tucker. He doesn't seem cool to me. Like, I like some of the things he says. What it boils down to for me, there were some very key issues, and whether this was his higher-ups or whether this was him or whether it was a collusion between the two, there were some very, very key things that he just did not cover on his show. Vaccine mandate, elections fraud, and January 6th are like the big 3, right? Just didn't even talk about them. The only thing that Tucker did for J6 was he had all that secret footage. Do you guys remember that? It was like 800 hours of unreleased January 6th footage. And then he did one show and just showed like 2 minutes of clips that just showed people walking around. And then they never heard about it again. I still don't even know where that footage is. It didn't even get released. So, anyways, you know who is on your side for real by when it matters the most. Do they step up or do they not? And that is the only way, because grifters grift all the time. And so I'm not saying that Tuck is like completely a grifter, but he sure hasn't stepped up when it matters. So I'm suspect. More importantly, I think that if Twitter does have a live stream situation and it is relatively free speech, I mean, that's just good for everyone, right? Particularly, it's good for us. All right. That is your black pill. It wasn't too much of a black pill, I guess. Well, like, the whole black pill was that, like, Twitter's in a precarious position, and it seems like things aren't that great as far as the free speech avenue goes. All right, guys, on to red pill. Let's do it. This one is an interesting one. So, we have a thermometer, right? We got this guy. Our kid likes to play with it, and every once in a while we just like test each other's temperatures. I noticed like 98.6 is the average temperature that you're supposed to be, right? I noticed that when I was taking my temperature, it was like 97. Let me see. Oh, it's in Celsius again. It was like 97 point something rather than 98.6. And I remember as a kid, maybe this is a Mandela effect or something, I remember 98.6, and I would like clock that. Anyways, all this is to say, I stumbled upon this video doom scrolling through YouTube, and I was just like, what is going on? Like, I thought it was just a bad thermometer, but apparently people's body temperatures are lowering, maybe, and that's what we're going to dive into for our red pill. So check this out.
Are people getting hotter? No, they're getting colder. And no one knows why. Nearly 200 years ago, Karl Reinhold August Wunderlich observed that 98.637 was the average temperature of the human body. But every year since that observation, each new crop of people born has wound up running, on average, about 0.003 of a degree Celsius cooler than those born the year before. Today, adults run at an average of about 97.5, 36.4, and we don't know what's causing it. It could be that we're all walking around with less infection and inflammation than before because of better hygiene, medicine, sanitation, food, water. But that doesn't explain why even the indigenous Semaine of Bolivia are also cooling down. All we know right now is that scientifically speaking, boomers are hotter than millennials.
You heard it here first, folks. So, I did a little deep dive into this, and I found a lot of the same information that he was talking about, because I wanted to know, I'm like, okay, so if this is true, then what are the implications of that? Because it's probably not inconsequential that people's body temperatures is running a degree cooler, right? So there are a few explanations, and honestly, I don't know which one is correct, or if any of them are. Basically, nobody knows is the long short of it, right? So what everyone agrees on is that 98.6 was the purported temperature. People think that that's wrong because of a few reasons. It was like 100 years ago that the guy did this study, and he's saying that their thermometers were not as accurate, basically that it wasn't as rigorous. This article says advances in medical treatments, better hygiene, greater availability of food, improved standards of living, which provide humans with constant ambient temperature, could all have contributed to this drop-off. Okay, so they're saying shit's better. Young, we got to do a chemtrail show, dude. I am not red-pilled on the chemtrails. They also suggest the cooling may be due to a population-wide decline in inflammation, with our bodies subjected to fewer infections and diseases as a result of improvements in modern medicine. Okay, so this is angle one. Things are better and more accurate, and so actually 98.6 wasn't completely accurate, and things are better, so lower inflammation, right? I generally don't subscribe to the things are better than they've ever been, because I just don't think that's true. As just a core worldview. So things like this, like where people are pointing to science and saying everything is just better. Yes and no. Yes and no. Look this dude up. I just want to show you his picture. I didn't realize it popped up in that short. So here is an article by Jessica Starnes, Brain Fog. Because, yeah, we can do a repeat show, Steph. Brain fog. Is your brain cold? So this is talking about the implications of if it's true that our brains are cooling and our internal temperature's cooling, what does that mean? She says, with hypothyroidism, energy isn't utilized well. Energy being glucose/fuel, and the brain requires loads of fuel as well as liver and muscles. With this lack of energy production, body temp lowers, and then we can develop what is coined by Dr. Ray Peat as cold brain syndrome. So this is the opposite explanation. So rather than everything getting better and more accurate and less inflammation, this is talking about thyroids. And when your thyroid is overactive, your brain can cool because of the lack of energy production. Think of it as an internal winter, natural slowdown, hibernation. This makes sense, right? Whether that's what's going on, because this presupposes that everyone has a hypothyroid, if these two are to link. But this could be indicative, like a large-scale thyroid issue through whether it's our diet or whether it's chemtrails or whatever could be affecting that could also change our body temperature, right? Here are things you can do. Ray Peat is like a dietitian and a doctor. He's got some wild stuff. So, anyways, so what I thought about after that was, I hear about people having brain fog, and it's I hear about it particularly as a long COVID symptom, and so I'm just trying to draw whatever links I can here, because there's no definitive answer on what's going on or if it is going on or if it's good or bad, right? So I'm just kind of showing you articles that I thought were interesting. So the COVID vaccine has been associated with very rare complications such as thyroid disorders. Among 83 reported cases, including in this review, the most cases of thyroid abnormalities were observed after vaccination with an mRNA-based vaccine. Almost 78%, 68.7. First thing to note, like 83 is not a big sample size, so I don't know how accurate this is, but that's like a big percent, right? That's non-negligible. It's like 70% coming. I'm no scientist, but that sounds like they are coming down with abnormal thyroids after taking an mRNA vaccine. Moreover, 40% of SAT patients and 38% of GD patients developed the symptoms after the second dose with a median of 10.5 days. So after a repeated dose of the COVID vaccine, more symptoms started coming up. So there's some sort of correlation here. Fortunately, almost all cases with COVID-19 vaccination associated thyroid dysfunctions had a favorable outcome following therapy. So you can get better, basically. I don't know what any of this is, but I don't know. It's all interesting. It's all interesting because it could be that our bodies are running better. It could be a lot of vaccines, because the COVID vaccine is not the only vaccine. Our vaccine intake has like gone up crazy amounts. Just as kids, the schedules are wild. So. Yeah, so I don't know. This isn't the full red pill. This is a rabbit hole. So I'm interested to see what you guys think, or if you ever heard anything like this or dealt with it. But according to Vsauce, this original video, it's everyone
37
everywhere.
Was the average temperature of the human body. But every year since that observation, each new crop of people born has wound up running, on average, about 0.003 of a degree.
So there you have it. That's it. That's the red pill for today. I don't know. I mean, I think that I'm really hot right now, so I mean, I could probably use a little cooling. That's my takeaway. Could probably use some cooling. All right, guys, on to the last section. Thank you all for being here. This has been fun. We're going to top it off with a white pill, a good outlook, a solid outlook, something to hang your hat on for the week. And then we'll be back next Monday. All right. Update. So I don't know if you guys have heard of this story. I'm assuming you have. They were posturing to make it into the next George Floyd, ish. But Legal Defense Fund for Hero Marine charged in the Jordan Neely case. So crazy hobo yelling, threatening people on a subway, dressed as Michael Jackson. Maybe he wasn't that day, but that's what he did. Starts going wild on a subway. This dude puts him in a chokehold, holds it too long, kills him. I want to preface all this by saying I'm not in favor of killing homeless people, right? Let me just put this one out there. This is not a homeless killing stream. That's not what we do here. We're in favor of loving homeless people and not chokeholding them to death on a train. So just wanted that out in front, just in case I get taken out of context or something. This guy cleaned up the streets for us, right? So everyone's been on a train. I haven't necessarily seen a lot of train performers, except for when I studied in London. But London subways are pretty good, man. I've heard horror stories about Chicago and New York, and apparently it's just off the rails. So this dude saves pregnant, innocent women on the train, potentially, by stopping this out-of-control homeless man. And then he gets charged with second-degree murder. That seems wild to me in and of itself. But here's the white pill, is that he has raised, as of Saturday night, $1.3 million from crowdfunding. Steph, we feed and clothe the homeless in the house. It's all above board over here. We don't put out those spiked park benches. We don't chokehold them. We love the homeless people, but they can't be threatening everyone on the train, right? That's all I'm saying. We don't have a train up here, but if we did, I wouldn't allow them to threaten my pregnant wife on a train. So, anyways, tops 1 million. So he will have a good defense. I don't know. I think that if someone is habitually harassing people, and that goes into like his previous crimes and stuff, like I'm not super well versed on it, but I know how scary hobos can be. And I've never been in a confined space with them. So what we need to do is we need to just get hobos off the street. Like we need them to not be homeless. Like I think that goes without saying, right? I would rather there be no hobos than having to choose whether or not you want to chokehold them. But I think that it's a good thing that that people are realizing that he was trying to do good, and then they're all stepping up behind him. Tim Pool put some money in. I saw this article. I thought it was funny. I don't really like Tim Pool, but I don't know. Tim Pool's all right. Put 20 grand of his own money to the defense fund. I had previously held what I now view as a defeatist position on the issue. Several people made good arguments to me about fighting the culture war to win and winning in the cities. There's a lot more I talk about on YouTube and can talk about more tonight on Timcast IRL. So I think this is the most important white pill. I think a lot of people are realizing that this aloof, nihilistic, accelerationism view of things is just not. It's not good. It's not working out because we need to live. We need to live in the country that we're in. So you can't just like wait until things get bad, because once they get bad, they get worse. Really, it takes a lot to flip upside down and like have a revamp of the system. So we don't want to. No one wants to do that. So I'm hugely in favor of what Tim's talking about here, where you need to actually try. You need to do what you can, and there's no glory in just waiting for everything to blow up. I think it's such a garbage, like, post-irony, like, way to view things. And I feel like there's a big movement of people who realize that and are wanting to actually take part and like do good stuff. So I'm happy to see Tim Pool here talking about that, because I mean, he pretty much personifies like a Reddit atheist to me. And that's like completely nihilistic, only cares about science, not realizing anything greater than themselves and like what their imperatives are, hedonistic. So seeing any buck against that, I think, is just nothing but good. We got to go do stuff. And I mean, Trump was... This kind of leads into the next one, so let's watch this.
Bartlett is a Republican strategist I quoted earlier, who was in the audience for the Trump town hall. He previously served as the director of the public affairs at the State Department under President Trump. Jennifer Horn served as the chair of the New Hampshire Republican Party. She left the GOP in December 2020. Both join me now. Matthew, let me start with you as just someone who's in that room. I was so interested in hearing your account of that and just the sort of nuance to people's reaction. Just give a sense of how you were reading people throughout and what you were picking up that maybe the cameras weren't.
Sure. I think you had a typical New Hampshire town hall in so much as you had a wide group of Republicans, independents, some that were supporters of President Trump and there to see him, and some that came with a true deal of skepticism around him. As you mentioned, there was a notion to try to keep decorum in the room, to try to make sure that this did not go off the rails and that people were allowed to express themselves through applause. That clearly became a bit of an issue. Certainly when I turned on my cell phone afterwards, the text messages started coming in. My gosh, it looked like Trump had the entire room. And just being there, it certainly didn't feel that way when there was a scattering of applause or
So it looked, so from on TV, what he's saying, like people who watched the show, people who watched it live, they were cheering, they were going wild, and they're like, oh, it looked like Trump had the room. And this guy's coming to say, not so fast.
Even allowed applause. I do not believe that it was the entire room. I certainly think it was a lot of the people that, like President Trump, like his style, like his personality. But there were others there that sat.
Actually, it wasn't the entire room that loved him. It was just mostly everyone.
Again, bewildered or absolutely disgusted to hear him talk about
some people were
January
disgusted.
6th, to hear him talk about the libel case. Some of this was very unfamiliar verbiage to the crowd, and I don't think they knew what to actually make of it.
Hey, stop right there. I know it seemed like everyone, you idiot. No, it seemed like everyone loved Trump, but you weren't there. I was there, and some people... They were really upset, man. They were super upset with Trump, and they were some people there. So don't get it twisted, brother.
I just want to make sure,
Thanks,
and I
man.
really appreciate you coming on and sharing this, because I think it's actually a really important perspective. As someone who makes TV, I know that sometimes what the camera's capturing and what the room is like are a little distant. But
it's very important to tell people that some people think different things, Not everyone knows that.
Make sure that you're not projecting how you were feeling when you said like people were disgusting. Like you disgusted, like you're seeing that on people's faces, right? That you could feel that actually. That's not just how you felt.
Yeah, and just to be clear, I was an appointee at the State Department under President Trump, and proud of the work I did. I resigned on January 6th, right behind, the Capitol here, walking home, and I remember vividly seeing it filled with what I thought was an absolute disgrace. Now, I've heard other Republicans talk about, some conspiracy theories as to this was an organized effort, or this was Antifa. I've never heard anyone refer to it as a beautiful day, and I was mere feet from the president, hearing him talk about that a day where I resigned. I thought it was an absolute disgrace. I thought it was disgusting, and I'm just happy to say that the entire room did not feel that way.
Jennifer, I'm not the messenger here, but I am invested in this because I actually think it's very important for the country, particularly because he really does seem to be running on a campaign of like, I'm going to finish the job from January 6th.
And that would be awesome. Anyways, I thought that was a funny take from this guy. Basically, I know it sounded like everyone was applauding, but, some people weren't. And so that's what you should focus on. But I looked a little bit into the demographics and how CNN picks their audience, because the fact is there was overwhelming applause for a CNN handpicked audience. So what was the process? New Hampshire GOP Chairman Chris Ager said CNN handled all the selecting of the audience members and the audience questions. So they broadcast it, they picked everyone. It was all a CNN thing. And CNN is the most anti-Trump news network out there. They will do anything to try and mess with him. So to have the applause resound like it did and have it be such a win for Trump while on CNN is kind of wild. When asked about CNN's process for selecting audience members and questions, a spokesperson said the network, quote, followed its traditional approach to source an appropriate audience. So, also known as they don't want to tell you, and nobody knows what that means. The spokesperson then declined to elaborate on what a traditional approach entails. Town hall attendees included people who had been invited by a variety of organizations and curated by the network. So, again, refusing to say, who was in the audience, but what we do know is that CNN was in charge of it every step of the way, and they are so liberally biased that it's crazy that it went over as well as it did. So that is a huge white pill for me, showing that people still, they don't buy the bullshit. People don't buy the bullshit. Thanks, Young. Appreciate it, man. People don't buy it. Trump still has potential. If he gets back to 2016 Trump, he's got potential to have the same groundswell. I mean, in 2020, honestly, he had more votes than ever. So I think he needs to address the election fraud in a productive way if he has any shot. And that's with them on guard, so I don't know. I'm skeptical, but whether it's him or whether it's, someone like Ye or Young, your entire Mexican family's voting Trump. Let's go. You're one of the 1%. I guess it grew, right? But black people vote 98% liberal. And I think Mexicans are 70 something. So glad to see you in the minority, man. It's just wild. It's just wild how partisan things are. So, anyways, that is the stream. That is all I've got for you tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I appreciate you guys. Thank you, Iron Alien. Thank you, Steph. Thank you, Young, obviously. And who else was in here? Merc was in here. I don't know if you're still watching, Merc, but thank you for being here. We're going to do this every week. We're going to get better. I'm going to get more fluid, pick better stories, But this was fun. I really enjoyed this. It's been a long time coming that I wanted to do a news show and, talk about some shit that I actually think on here. So, love you guys. Matt L creeped in. Let's go. All right. Love you guys. Catch you later. Big round of applause.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more. We're about to be in the best timeline. Mark my words.